Hey, Better Together with Maria Menounos fans. It's Mr. Maria Menounos, special guest host for the next 2 episodes where we are going to talk about how to create a New Year plan for you. It's the new year, right? So it's the new you. Everyone else has their New Year's resolutions, and then maybe they fall short of them and they feel bad. And then there's people who think, well, it's impossible to become a new me anyway. Not true. We have a plan that Maria and I have been doing for the last 2 decades that has worked for us to make improvements to set you up for next year to be the best version of yourself and to be a continuing best version of yourself. So that being said, we hope you enjoy the special 2-part episode of Better Together with Maria Menounos.
And don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah. Hey, Better Together with Maria Menounos fans. Yes, I'm sure you've guessed. It's not Maria Menounos. It's Mr. Maria Menounos. Subbing in for my beautiful and talented wife at this
Fine establishment.
Yeah, well, at this the most wonderful time of the year, if I may say so. Kelsey Alexander Meyer, my co-host and executive producer extraordinaire.
Whoa! Hey now.
Somewhere out there is our other little producer companion, Pooja.
That's right.
Out there in a little bit of sick cyberspace.
Oh.
But we wish her well.
That's right.
We want you on this. We want everyone, of course, tuning in today because we are going to be discussing not only how the right way to end this year, but the best way to set yourself up for next year. And I think that's it's important for any age. I think if you have children, I think it's great to get them started on some of these habits I'm going to share with you. And then I think 50, 60, 70, 80 years old, I think all of it is very important because, we are of the belief here on Better Together that if you're not growing, you're dying. And that you should always be learning and always trying to get what, Kelsey?
Get better?
And and you know what? There's only the best way to get better is what? Is how?
Learning and growing.
Well, I was going to say together.
Oh, I like that. I like that better than my answer.
See, well, but you weren't wrong. But, so I'm always looking for milestones for, to really help with any kind of improvement or transition that you want to make. And for some people, it could be back to school in the fall. Other people could be, okay, it's going to be the summer. My birthday, an anniversary. I mean, there's milestones that I always try to find in life that can motivate you for the positive change and the growth that you need. And there's really no better one than New Year. And I know there's a lot of cynics out there like, I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. And I don't be, okay, fine. But for people who want to keep improving and keep growing, the New Year, it's just a great way to motivate and inspire you to make the improvements or changes or adjustments that you want to make in life. So what we're going to do today is we're going to share some of the techniques that Maria Menounos and myself have employed all these years that have been that have really worked. And we've stuff we've been practicing honestly for the last 2 decades. And we continue to, even with what we practice, we continue to make adjustments and changes. But I promise they are things that almost anyone can do. And it really doesn't matter how much money you have. There are ways to do it. I know it's harder for people of less means or less time, but there are ways to do it. And the biggest thing to remember, Kelsey and Pooja, especially at your age, where you guys have so much pressure on you. There's so much pressure on you that the society puts on you and social media puts on you. As long as you're a little better than last year, you're good.
I like that.
You're good. I mean, if you ever play the stock game, the best stock is the one that's just a little better than the year before over time. The one that skyrockets up to the sky in a minute, not necessarily the best stock because it means it can crash just as quickly. But something that is slow and steady, a really good stock will be just a little better every year. And that's it, just a little better. Just 0.01% better.
I like that because I think that that's something, we all get tripped up in, Kev, right? Where
Mm-hmm.
it's like we have to be, I don't know, like a new person, right? We have to make these like grand.
Nope.
And it's like, no,
Nope.
you don't. You don't at all. And celebrate the small, the small achievements, the small victories, the small growths. And I think that that's where the habits and the patterns, the good ones start to stick if you celebrate those and then you just keep building on that.
So if you know baseball, it's all about hitting singles. I'm big on hitting singles. And then, unfortunately, there's a lot of people who want to hit the grand slam, bases loaded, and they want to hit the home run. And they get nowhere doing it. I see it in our business, too. It's always the grand slam. And I'm like, no, singles. Let's just hit singles. There's little victories, just little ones. There's that old saying about how do you eat a whale? I've told you this, Kelsey. You've heard that one before.
Piece by piece?
One little bite at a time.
Yeah, you can't eat a whale.
That's it. No, but and anyone will tell you about life too. The success, the longest lasting success is the one that is done this way with small victories. That is a marathon mentality, not a sprint mentality, not a sprinter, a marathon. It's the longest lasting. How many businesses, how many careers do you see that explode, but then they crash and burn? Because they didn't take those small little steps up the ladder, so therefore they shot up to the top, but they don't really know the path to get there. So then they don't know what to do when they're challenged or obstacles come. Or anyway, I digress. What a surprise, Kelsey!
No, you were still on the same topic.
What a surprise!
That's okay.
But here's the thing. Now, this is why it's important we did this with you now. And not in January, the first week in January. And for example, we're having our show meeting, our annual show meeting. And if you have a podcast and you work with a team of people, I recommend you do this as well. We will be getting together before we all go on our semi-hiatus. And it'll only be semi because I will still be broadcasting in audio. So I'm sorry, YouTube fans. You have to go over to Apple Podcasts. We want to be providing you some fresh content, especially a good way to actually tease that right now. We want to do something different. Kelsey and I, we hear a lot that people are lonely at this time of year, and then a lot of all other podcasts, essentially, and broadcasts go on hiatus. And I understand that because they want to be with families and things like that. And so do we. But Kelsey and I feel like a half hour, 35 minutes, 40 minutes of our time, I don't know, someone's carving a turkey, right? We'll make that time and be providing you kind of fresh content, talking about the holidays and
just a little catch up.
Yeah, that's all.
Check-ins.
And I think, listen, there's again, here I go digressing again, Kelsey, but this is the time of year that unfortunately suicide rates are the highest. Ironically, right? But so there's plenty to talk about and share and exchange, and we will. But I'm a believer that this is also the time because, your work, whatever, most people's jobs slow down now. And most people get a little bit of a break. Could just be a few days. But this is the time, I think, to create a plan for the upcoming year rather than the first week in January or the second week in January. Because in my experience, when I've done that, nothing really gets into action until mid-February. I've already lost a month and a half, sometimes 2 months. And, life's too short. So if we can use this time now, and us as a show, we'll get together and we'll go over what our victories were and what we did right, and then what we want to adjust, some of our goals for next year. And then it's just nice because when everyone breaks, they'll be able to kind of marinate with it. When they're out Christmas shopping or with family, they're always going to have those moments of daydreaming or just when you're driving, you're in the backseat going to auntie's house or grandma's house. Oh, that's when great ideas come to you. And you might reflect on some of the ideas, Kelsey, that we want to, and Pooja, we want to put into action. You might say, I have a better way to do this. Or, you know what, I actually don't think that's going to work. Let's try something else. But now we'll be able to come back in January and really hit the ground running. But that's the same with your personal lives as well. So if you have a business, forget even a podcast. If you have a business, I really recommend even getting everyone from the business together and celebrating the wins, reflecting on the year, being grateful, but then also, okay, how do we grow? where are we kind of falling short in some areas? Maybe things are changing up in the climate, and how do we adjust for that? And then everyone goes off, and when we come back strong. But talking individually, that's it's important right now because most of us are going to have a little free time now, and obviously, I want everyone to enjoy the holidays. I mean, this is my favorite time of the year. But if for people who want to make improvements in their life, or people who have lofty goals, we don't get this time like other people do. I don't know. I recommend seeing King Richard, but for anyone that really wants to make changes and improvements, and again, if you have super lofty goals, this is the time to kind of prepare. Now, but you can also make it fun, and we always have. We've always made it fun. But I was raised by a dad who was always like, easy now, hard later, hard now, easy later. Simple, very simple philosophy. And, if during this time you can put some time aside to make self-improvements, to build the plan that I'm going to take some of the steps I'm going to outline today and build this plan, okay, you might miss, I don't know, one session tobogganing, or I don't know, like whatever is going on in your holiday. And if it's your family, I think it's a great family event too. I think far more valuable for a family to prepare children for what's out there, which is going to be many obstacles and many challenges. And I feel like this is where I feel bad for the millennials and the Gen Z, because I feel like they were let down. I think the parents took away a lot of their pain and a lot of their obstacles, and that's not their fault. But this is how you can prepare your children as well for life, to continue to keep growing. And if they have lofty dreams, this is how you can achieve them. So we've got this kind of downtime. What do we do with it? Well, the first thing we do every year is we get organized. And it's been something for 20 years. This is really not going to sound popular, and I'm sorry. But when I say it's been a tradition for us to go through our house and organize every closet, every drawer, every storage area. And we started with our apartment when we were in a little studio apartment together, Marie and I. And then we were in our starter home. And then in this home, it's something we do. And here's the good news. The good news is the first time you do it, I get it. It's a lot of 12 and 13-hour days. It's hard. However, every year you do it after is easier because you've organized everything. And you really make an effort over the year to put things back in the allotted spaces. If that makes sense. Kelsey, does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely makes sense.
So if you have junk drawers, once you organize them, like here's the pens.
You want to keep them
Here
organized.
goes the cables for the USB cables, or, you make an effort to put things back where you found them. Then you see that when you go to do this next year, it's a lot easier. We talked earlier about hitting singles. This is a single, guys. I know it stinks. Even going through your clothes. And with that, you create your piles, which is you're going to give away to friends and family. You're going to donate to Goodwill, and then maybe you can even sell some. I don't know. But I'm saying, like, every part of your life, go through. And if you have a family, everyone as a family can do it together. For us, we play music. We laugh. We joke.
What I was going to say, Kev, remember Greg McEwen? We interviewed him, God, that feels like forever ago, but last year sometime, you and I, and he talked about just like finding the fun in even the mundane tasks. You put on, I honestly enjoy it. You put on music, you like stuff you can dance to, you can sing to, like, I don't know, make yourself a fun snack, and then you just get to it and you feel so much better. And I think knowing that like at the end, you're going to feel better is like,
well,
makes you do it.
If you're alone, put on some headphones and music like I would do.
Yeah.
And sometimes if you have a buddy, have a friend do it with you, and then go do it with your friend.
Yeah.
So you guys can have your thing. But I will say, what will come out of it afterwards, you're going to feel better. This is actually an act of self-care. And after you're done, You're going to feel lighter, but you're going to feel more confident. And what we're doing is setting you up for the new year to be strong to do it. But also, everything's about foundation. And how often do we build our houses on sand, people? So if your life is a mess, you're not going to be able to function at the highest capacity. It's so hard. Life is difficult. And when you have these great goals, or you want to make these great improvements, if your foundation is a mess, you're making it so much harder on yourself. But if the foundation's in order and set, it's going to be a lot easier to do what you want to do. But your mindset also, you're going to be so ready for the new year when you've got your clean house, everything's organized, you've de-hoarded, you've decluttered, all that stuff free. And by the way, I can't say enough, guys. When in doubt, Kelsey,
throw it out.
I'm just saying, guys, seriously, because all of this extra stuff just weighs us down in ways you don't even realize. I can't tell you how many people I know are depressed, really down on themselves, and live very unhealthy lifestyles. And the first thing is when I go and see where they live and how they're living, I go, oh my God, no wonder. It's actually very normal that you're this depressed because you're surrounded by all this crap and it's a mess. And so you just want to run away. I want to go to the bar. I want to go out to eat. I want to spend money, whatever it is. We buy more, unfortunately, to make ourselves feel better. I've been guilty of it, guys. I still am. But if you're that kind of person, then when something comes in, Kelsey, what happens in our wardrobe?
You have to get rid
Something's got to go.
Else.
Something else has got to go.
Yep.
But don't be afraid to do that. So many people, you guys, hang on to these possessions and they drag them with them like chains. And then they wonder why they're really not able to ascend. So this is a huge, huge undertaking, and I get it, but I promise it will set you up right for the new year. Now, if it's something a lot of this people are going to be doing this alone, okay, because it's kind of thankless. But I'm going to plant some seeds in your brain because a lot of this is mindless work. But a couple of things I want you to be thinking about, and we're going to be going over this later, is, what is it that you want to improve this year? What are those things? Okay. Is it your health? Is it your love life? Is it your career? Is it you're procrastinating? Is it whatever it is? Just be thinking. Just be thinking. Again, I love, a lot of times the reason I love doing manual labor is because my mind is free. It's probably my form of like Italian meditation because we just work like kooks. But it's mindless work for me. And this is where I will get so many life breakthroughs. I also want you to think about what your long-term goals are, or your long-term goal is overall. And again, there's never going to be a wrong answer, but these are the things to be thinking about, because when we actually put pen to paper to create your plan, we're going to need these answers. And we're going to go over how to organize all these answers. What are your short-term goals? Okay, there's that like end goal. Where do I want to end up ideally, or what do I want to be when I grow up? Okay, but then there's the short goals. I want to run a marathon. I want to lose weight. I want to write a book. Whatever it is, let's just start thinking about what those are, and then be thinking, taking a helicopter view, and know that we've basically got three categories I would love you to think about: health, career, and social. Those three things. What do I want to do? What changes do I want to make for my health? What changes do I want to do? Improvements do I want to do for my career? What improvements do I want to do even socially? Because we always talk about how our social lives really will dictate really will have a vast impact on our success. And what I say by that is not, you have to have a great social life, be really popular, be successful. No, it's quite the opposite. It's unfortunately, the toxic people around us that don't subscribe to the thought that if you're not growing, you're dying. Don't subscribe to some of the stuff we're going to talk about. And unfortunately, if they vibrate lower, they're going to will those thoughts and sentiments onto you, even subconsciously, and not helping the cause. And as I said earlier in this, on the show, it's already going to be so hard to achieve goals, and it's really hard to change. And in fact, it's sad, but I tell you, after 23 years old, and you guys are going to see this, Pooja and Kelsey, it gets harder and harder for people to change. And sadly, I don't know, I would say 95% of people are kind of baked. That's it. It's a small, like maybe 7% of people, or probably less, that actually can change at 40 or 50 or 60 or 70 or 80. It can be done, but it's so hard. So we have to do everything we can within our control to make it easier. So that's obviously cleaning and organizing, but then also who we're going to be bringing around. So these are the things you're going to be thinking about.
So relationships fit under social?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Everything. We're thinking of that as we're doing our stuff. So Kelsey.
Yes.
Now, with you in your apartment, and here's the other cool thing too, guys. When you're on this program, you can start cheating the system. And I started doing it biannually. So in the spring, I would do it. So then by the time Christmas come around, it was a layup. It was so easy for me. That. Or I'll be doing it little by little. So it's not really as daunting anymore, for me. But with you, Kelsey, is this something this makes sense and for you to be able to apply?
I'm taking notes in here.
Really?
Yeah. Well, and it's kind of perfect. It's funny that you said the spring thing, because what you and I talked about last year that I tried to implement was, doing it around my birthday. In March.
There's your milestone.
Exactly.
Right.
And then doing it around Christmas time, New Year, because when I had to go and just head first the first time, like New Year, that was really hard for me. But now it's like I'm kind of consciously like always thinking, okay, get rid of that. If this comes in, like there's little things that I've been able to just work into my routine because I think I'm more conscious of it. And then I do the big hauls, New Year and then springtime.
And how did you feel when you did it?
So good. So good. And now I'm super aware. I have a couple friends that like their places are just, one in particular, my roommate and I are always like, honey. And she is like kind of a mess and, mentally, and has a lot of breakdowns. And we're trying to find a way to like politely be like, it is your space.
Starts there.
It starts
there. Well, that's the first, the single.
Yeah.
That's the first down.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes the world of difference. It really does. And I'm the person who has, like, I love crap. I love it. I used to love it. How about that? I used to love it. And
But yeah, you definitely trinkets.
I was trinkets. Yeah. And so for me, it helps a lot. And now I feel overwhelmed by the smallest amount of, like I really need to redo my kind of like little makeup corner because there's a lot of crap over there. Mm-hmm. That's kind of my goal this year to target that.
No, because there's a lot of stuff there.
It's a lot of stuff
and,
that I don't need.
Well, you've had such problems with your stomach. And when we talk about foundation, now that your foundation is in order, you're not spending as recklessly on trinkets and little like gadgets and things or little doodads that were weighing you down, cluttering your place, plus taking money away from where it needed to go, which was your stomach. But now that's the term lean and mean. Like now your focus is much more where it needs to be on your stomach and your career, but then also you're getting good results now.
Right. Well, and I think too, Kev, it's funny. It's like once you start, it's like you don't want to stop, right? It becomes addicting. Like you're like lean and mean. I'm like, oh, there's still a lot to trim in my mind. So I think that, once you start the process, it just gets easier and easier. And now I look at every pile and I'm like,
well, and here's the other thing, guys, this is what you can control. So I guarantee whatever your goals are, you only have so much control over them. Okay? You don't have 100% control over, I don't know. I'm trying to think of what would be like, I don't know, like say Kelsey wanted to be on American Idol. Like,
right.
We don't have any control over that.
Right.
outcome.
Right.
But you have control over this part of your life. And so everything, and you see this in sports too, the greatest teams are the ones that are well coached, and what they can control, they do. Like they can control not getting penalties. So they have very few penalties. But whatever is in your control, you have to control. Like you have to, take hold of.
Well, I think it's hard to understand until you get rid of all the junk, how much it really does take over your mind, whether you realize it or not. So it's like, if you want, like Kevin's saying, it's like, it's the one thing you can control. So no, I can't, if I wanted to be on American Idol, I can't necessarily control that, but I can control coming home to a clean space where then I can, put my energy into my vocals or whatever
and you know
is.
where everything is. That's another thing too.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I see people 10 minutes, 50 minutes, 20 minutes running around trying to find stuff.
Oh my God, yeah.
And you can't live efficiently that way.
Right.
And it's like we're beating ourselves.
Yeah.
And guys, this also goes to, it also speaks to the digital front as well. Your emails, your files. I'll go through every file, and I still have file cabinets. I don't know if anyone does anymore, but for old paper files. But I still go through them, and they're all labeled correctly. And I put, and sometimes what I do, I'll tell you guys, because I am really busy, I'll slide things into my file cabinet, and they'll pile up on top of the files. And then I open the file cabinet, and then I will take that pile of paper, and I'll file each individually one. Like that's what I'll be doing in my over a little over holiday break, is making sure all those things go back. And then there's old files I don't need anymore. This is over 10 years old. I don't need this, into the shredder. But even that I'm doing. But I think on your phones and all your laptops, all that stuff, it all figures in. And I think also it's creating systems too. Like my dirty clothes are going to go in this hamper, or dry cleaning goes in this bag, or, these files go here. When mail comes in, it's going to go in this slot. There's just different things like that will help. Now, Pooja, you're Gen Z. Kelsey's Gen Z, millennial adjacent.
I am solid millennial.
Solid millennial.
I am a solid 94 baby.
Yeah, that's okay. So that's a solid millennial.
Solid millennial.
Okay, so let's hear from the next gen. Pooja, is any of this resonating?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm the same way as Kels. I like things. I'm a consumer for sure. But since I've moved into my apartment, and even when I was in college, you have limited space, so it can get a little overwhelming. So I kind of started this process a few years ago where I'm like, okay, if I haven't worn this in like the last 6 months or a year, I'm probably not going to wear it. So I'm just going to get rid of it or give it to my sister, who would probably steal it from me anyway, because she steals all my clothes. Or give it to a friend, or donate it, or sell it, or whatever. So I think that's like one big thing that I'm going to do this break before I leave for home, is go through my closet and be like, okay, what am I actually wearing? If I haven't worn this dress, like I'm not going to wear it. I know I won't. So I'm going to donate it or do whatever. And I know Kels has been starting to do this because she's giving me some of her old,
it's amazing.
Her old jackets.
I'm like, Pooja, here are 3 jackets. And it makes me happy because I know she's going to love them, So anyways, yeah. I love that.
And Maria's done this too. I've worn Maria's sweatshirt so much, and I've worn Kelsey's jacket, her little jean jacket already. So it's fun. I do the same thing, with my friends or my family, and it's fun to see them wear it. And then you get a kick out of it. Maria was talking about this. She's like, it's harder when you just get rid of it because you love it so much because you bought it. But when you can give it to someone and they'll enjoy it, it makes you happy to do it. It gives you an incentive. So that's another thing I think that could help people while they're doing it. And
also, guys, it translates to your cars too. So if you're in your car a lot, it's a really big deal. So I usually have backup items in the car. I usually have a plug, one of those lighter plugs that makes it so I've gotten them for Kelsey, to makes it so you can use your computer in the car if you need to. I usually have spare clothes and things, but I also keep it pretty organized. Because it's another thing that just weighs you down,
That was another thing I learned from you, was cleaning out my car. Because I didn't really think about that. I think that like when you're in small apartments, for me at least, I used it as a storage space.
I remember, I know.
And Kevin was like, "What the hell?" He was like, "You are allowed," and I would be like, "Well, these are my extra clothes for if something happens." And he was like, "That's cool. You're allowed one bag, not 12." So.
And then it was like, okay, Kelsey, you go away. I'll just park the car over here with me.
Exactly.
And then you came home and, oh, wait, what happened to my...
And it was great, and I didn't miss one thing, not one thing. So I think that that's a good tip, Kev.
And we cleaned and detailed it, you know, and don't you feel better? And I see it's always clean now when I see it.
So much better. Yeah, I try because I do think that makes like a lot of us forget about our cars. At least I know I do.
And you sit in it and you feel like, okay, all right, not so bad.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
And that concludes part 1 of our special edition of Better Together, how to create your New Year life plan. Part 1, of course, is the part of the foundation. Part 2, we're going to discuss how to create the actual plan, what questions to ask yourself, some of the techniques you go through to get the answers you need. And we'll discuss even a little bit more about the emotional part, component to all this, and the emotional part of your foundation. But Kelsey and Pooja, are we ready to go start just rolling up our sleeves and organizing our drawers, our closets, our cars?
Oh, yeah. I'm going. I've already because here's my one issue, Kev, with the holidays, and I feel like a lot of people are probably in this boat who are mine and Pooja's age. We go home.
So then guess what we do?
We have to do it before.
Well, I was going to say, see, you know me, Mr. Vegas. I like to just double down.
Tell me, how do I do that?
Oh, hi, Deb. Hi, Doug. We're organizing this house.
Oh, their house? Yeah, they could do that.
Yeah,
but help them with that. But I want to organize my apartment.
Oh, well, you kind of been on it, though, Kelsey.
I have.
You've been doing maintenance, cleaning, and organizing since we started the show.
You're right. But I think what I'm going to do this week is dedicate an hour every night to do even more so I feel fully ready.
To come back.
Exactly.
I love it. Yeah.
Exactly.
And even I'll tell you, when I leave my other houses and come back, I always try to leave them nice. When I come home, when I come back to them, everything is organized, and and I don't ever like coming back to a mess or seeing a mess. I don't think it's very healthy. But I think that for people that are going home with their parents, why not do this with mom and dad? You can't tell me, Kelsey and Pooja, your childhood stuff's not there collecting dust.
Oh, my mom made me throw it out last Christmas or 2 Christmases ago.
Well, good for Deb.
Yeah, she said you get one box and that's all you get.
I love it. Oh, she's a bad bee.
Oh, she threw it all myself.
That's a bad. Yeah, but that's okay. That's
it's
a bad.
Whatever. Yeah.
No, because we have stuff, but Maria has a lot of stuff but I've labeled everything and boxed it. And we talked about that. The importance of labeling. Or maybe we didn't, but
not yet. We will.
We will. We'll talk about that. Yeah, it's super important. But yeah, don't be afraid to if you're going back home. If someone's going back home to mom and dad, kind of if they're on the team, then this is something that they would enjoy, and you're gonna need time to be thinking about what we're going to talk about in part 2, which is what are the changes we're going to make, how are we going to make them, what are the goals that we want to achieve, how do we achieve them. This is all the stuff that you need to know before you put pen to paper to figure this stuff out. So yeah, this is the time to do it.
What are you going to do? Are you going to clean your ish this week?
Yeah, absolutely. I've kind of been doing it slowly like you, Cal, so it's not too bad, but what I do usually around this time is I switch. I put all my summer clothes and my spring clothes into a suitcase and put it in the closet so that's just out of the way. Because at this point, it's too cold to wear anything. Up to now, it's okay, maybe I can wear a skirt or a dress, but it's just way too cold. So I'm let's just get it out of the way. It's cluttering my closet. Why have an eyesore?
I forgot about that. For people that don't have a lot of room, and if you're in a climate that is very seasonal, and it's gotten that way in LA. It's gotten increasingly colder in the winters, and it's gotten increasingly hotter in the summers. But yeah, I love the idea of just putting those clothes away until the spring.
I like that too, because I keep looking at my bathing suits, and I'm like, why? Why you're not going to put this on for a minute,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and use something that's already taking up space. I have my suitcase that I use when I take home my big one. I won't use it this time because I'm not going home for that long. But like it's taking up space. So why put another box on top of it? Just like stick the clothes in that suitcase.
No, it's just more stuff to weigh you down. And the other thing is, I showed this to Kelsey too. When we're in Connecticut. Don't don't be afraid to invest in really good means of storage. So and know that there's a lot of places you can store things that you don't realize, like under your bed. So I would get either wrapping, those long Tupperware bins that hold wrapping paper. They tend to be not very high. They're like 3 or 4 inches high, but they're very long. You slide those under the bed. Sometimes you don't even need to keep the lid on. You have the lid off. So they literally pull out like drawers. So you workout gear or whatever, you slide it under the bed, no one sees it. The other thing that's nice too is Home Depot has, it's going to sound crazy, like plastic oil pans that you would put under your car if oil were going to leak. And, in Connecticut, that's what I had under your bed, Kelsey. And remember, you'd slide it out.
Had my slippers on there.
Yeah. Your slippers, your sneakers, your workout gear, whatever. We have these electric massagers that, you'd pull out and work on your back if you were sore. But all that stuff really does help. So don't be afraid to invest in what it takes to store these things properly, and whether and I sometimes if it's trash bags, I recommend the lawn and leaf bags, the industrial strength. Well, because they last. They're a little more expensive, but they'll last. You tie those puppies up, and whatever, or even if you're taking clothes to Goodwill, they won't break on you. They'll stay together, and then I think we're going to talk about it in the next episode, but like Target, Walmart, those places have great storage bins and containers. And, you may want to have that be the first thing you do.
My other place that I like getting storage containers, TJ Maxx and Marshalls and those kind of places, especially for makeup and little knick-knacky stuff, because
it's more attractive, but I will say, Kelsey,
tell me,
sometimes the stuff there are made of wood and other materials that don't do well when makeups, powders break or moisturizers break. So I try to get plastic because you can always clean it out.
Yeah.
So when you're doing that, that cleanup, you take them out, you clean out the thing, you put everything back in. But yeah, well, you guys, we've given you a lot of work to do. Remember, you don't have to do all of it. And if you're in survival mode right now, I understand why you wouldn't be able to do it. But know that this is something that is in your control. It's something you don't need a lot of money to do, and you certainly don't need to have the highest IQ or whatever. Anyone can be in control. So a friend's mom used to always, her mother came out of the Depression, and the mother always said to them, no matter how poor you are, you can always afford soap and water. So you can always be clean. And I always took it like, well, you can always be clean or you can always be organized.
I love that.
And it will help you. So know that we are going to continue over the next few weeks to bring you fresh Christmas content. So
Christmas with a K.
Christmas with a K.
Duh.
Because Christmas is
queen-like. Is a queen.
It is queen-like. It's definitely
crisp. It's crisp.
It's crisp with a
K.
Right. Pooja, you knew that, right?
Yeah, I said it.
Yeah, she said, okay, good. We didn't hear you. Yeah, she totally said.
She totally said it.
It's like, Christmas is totally crisp.
She nailed that.
And Christmas is spelled with a K. And crisp is spelled with a K.
Yes.
And the people that enjoy Christmas the most are the
queens.
Thank you. Spelled with a
Z.
Spelled with a?
Oh, well, a K and a Z.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Listen, you're welcome.
Yes, a little regular guy Friday, sleeping in a bed together. Please forgive us. But we will be bringing you fresh content for the next few weeks. If you have friends and they love podcasts and all their other favorite podcasts are on vacation hiatus, and they want to have a little Christmas spirit, come on over to Better Together and check us out in audio on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever else we are at. We won't be on YouTube, but we will be in audio because it's a little easier for us to do. Right, Kelsey?
Yeah. And it's more fun. I feel like we can be more free in audio.
Can be a little bit more free in audio.
Lauren Bostic actually talked about that. If you guys have not listened to that interview with Lauren Bostic from the Skinny Confidential, she talked about that. I don't know. There's something about like not having to look at yourself. I don't know. audio can just be more free. Anyways, come listen to us. Come
Yeah,
hang out.
I feel like there's more pressure.
With video.
Yeah, I think
I
for
agree.
me, I'm at like this. Thank you guys for being patient and supporting us on these episodes. It's one thing to be the backup quarterback and interview somebody. That's easy for me because I can make it about them. But this was one where Kelsey and I really have to do all the heavy lifting. And so thank you for being patient with this. But I don't love this. It's not my favorite thing to do.
Well, you're doing the heavy lifting and you're killing it. So
Because I am a
queen. Yeah, you're
Yeah, you
welcome.
did awesome. This was great.
Oh, Pooch, you're the best. Okay, so guys, look forward to episode 2, which will be out next week. And then after that, it's Christmas with a K. We will have
What?
Christmas content. Wow, even that's spelled with a K.
I know.
Crisp Christmas content from Better Together from
What?
now until Christmas. How
Wow.
about that, Dr. Phil? Catch me
How
outside.
about- Catch me outside.
I made you like Oprah did.
Oh my God. Now we're getting into
We're getting into Regular Guy Friday,
RGF.
so we digress. Okay, so Kelsey, how do we? What is the scam you guys say here on this show?
All right, you guys. Remember to be nice people, make good choices, and be present.